utilized to help open up the entire body. The first sequence is a half kneeling position in which we're going to get into split stance in the sagittal plane, right leg forward, left leg back. The weight is on the right heel, and our objective here is to slowly shift the weight forward into the right leg. You can play around with the degree of bend that you have in the right knee. At a certain point here, you want to feel yourself trying to roll forward a little bit and allow all or most of your weight to start shifting into your front leg. At varying points, you can play around with a little bit of rolling in and rolling out of the leg. You can pull the toes up and down, but you want to start to get a sense and a feel of your sciatic nerve, a nerve that runs from essentially the back of the leg and the spine all the way down into the heel and the big toe. So you want to feel that nerve, and you want to sense if it's getting caught up anywhere in your body, in your hip, in and around your knee, in and around the ankle or the toes. We'll show you the other view from the side here so you can see both angles. Here now we have the left leg going forward. And again, we start with, a certain amount of bend in the knee, anywhere from 20, 30, 40 degrees when you start is totally fine. And slowly over some of the effort here, you want to work to straighten that leg out a little bit more if you can. And again, you want to play around with some of those same strategies, rolling the leg in and out a little bit, pulling the toes up and down a little bit of bounce at the bottom. And then again, at a point, I want to start leaning forward into the motion, dropping more of the weight to that front leg. And again, this is where we really start to play around with that sciatic nerve a little bit and try to open and floss is the key word here, that structure through. And that's really the way you want to think about it. If you're experiencing pain down the back of your legs at some point, it's likely derived from communication into this nerve. So if we can help free it up and anywhere that it's getting caught up, this is going to be helpful and advantageous to us. In the next position, we're going to now be looking at more of a frontal plane scenario here in the same split stance. So now the right leg is going to go out to the side. I'm going to really be hinging over my left hip here, and I want to drop directly back. And you'll notice at first the desire to just essentially sit back into your hips and then try to get upright with your upper body. Let the arms kind of come out in front and be mindful. If you notice here, pay attention to that right foot, that it's not rolling out and off that big toe connection. We're staying connected to the ground. Now we've got the hands forward. This is another strategy you can use. This makes it a little bit easier at times to seep deeper into the hip there and get that pull across the groin. Really effective stretch. And again, now we're thinking, as opposed to the previous disposition, more of a frontal plane, or thinking about the body, kind of if we cut it in half and thought about a front and a back side, if you will. Again, shifting back into the hip. Rolling back and forth. At this point, the hip should be pretty opened up. We should feel pretty advantageous to sit back into this without pain or restriction. Again, from the profile view, we'll do this same exact thing now on the left side. Same parameters. You'll notice here that from the side, I have my left foot just slightly in front of that right knee. Ideally, we'll want to adjust that back. So now you'll see here, better stacking, better alignment. That left knee's pretty straight, very subtle amount of bend, but 5 degrees maybe or so, 10 degrees max in most cases. Rocking back and forth, using the hands for support, keeping the spine neutral, gently rocking into place. No pain, discomfort, mild, but no sharp pain. Don't want to be pushing through pain here. And again, sitting back down in the position. Now you'll notice from the side, a real good angle here to see this. Look how we're now able to kind of sit back into this and open up. In the next position, we're going to get into essentially a tall kneeling back bend. So first, we're going to grab the hips, sit back, and then slowly rock the hips forward, grabbing a hold of the glutes, and then arch the spine back. Let's do this several times, gentle and rocking, no pain, no discomfort. just a gentle rocking and soothing motion to the spine. It's really important that you feel yourself grabbing a hold of your glutes and feel your glutes as to the base of what's allowing you to now reach your arms up and over as you reach back. Your glutes are what are stabilizing you. You shouldn't feel any tension or pain or discomfort in your spine. Excellent work. Nice and slow. Hips drop back. Hips push forward and through. Spine gets taut. Slowly drop back into it. Nice bit of extension there. And again, you'll notice with each one that you feel a little bit more ability to back bend deeper. So thus, don't try to get too advantageous in your first couple of reps. Allow your body to open up into this and ease through it. The next motion that we're going to get into here, we're going to get into and look at the quadruped position. Here we're looking at essentially like the cat-cow position, flexion extension of the spine. We'll begin with a rounding, pulling of the chin towards the chest, pushing through the thumb joint, extending and locking the arms, but internally rotating the arms throughout, to then get into a deep arch, looking the eyes up as high as we can, and arching the spine. Again, at this portion, really make sure that you're pushing through your thumb, you're locking your arms, you're protracting your shoulders, and then relaxing your shoulders, pulling them towards the ground, pulling your head, your neck up towards the ceiling, looking up as high as you can. What would be, again, normal here is to sense that you can arch this way much more than you can extend your spine, which would be a normal occurrence for the human form here. We have more ability to, kind of arch and curve and round the spine than we can extend it. Not to mention, many of us are already rounding too much, so extension becomes even more problematic for your average individual these days. And again, take your time, ease through it. Don't rush this. In general, I'm not talking too much about timing and sequences here. The framing of this is typically around 45 seconds to a minute on each side for each movement. And then ideally we'll go through this whole thing twice. Next, we're going to get into torso rotation. So notice here, you're going to lay on the one shoulder, right shoulder, the right arm's pulled across the body, my left arm is pushing down and into the ground. And I'm going to essentially twist and rotate my body to my right. All the weight is into the right shoulder, and we're using the left arm to try and twist and rotate the body across to the right. The Beck's going to do here is to take a big breath in now, hold the breath, and then breathe it out hard as you twist and try to connect the exertion of the exhale into the abdominal muscles that are attempting to rotate the spine across. And again, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Watch this closely. Slowly put both hands out in front of the body. Slowly scoop the left hand up under the right, lay on the left shoulder. Slide the right hand back into a position that's comfortable for you in which you can push to then create rotational force across your body. Time your breathing, big breaths, and as you see the head turn and twist, that's when you begin your exhale. So the big breathe in and the big breath out. Breathing out, rotating across the body. Excellent work. Take your time here. Again, don't force this. It's supposed to make you feel a little bit compromised in terms of the limiting capacity to breathe in this position. Next, we're going to move into Platoon. This is a position that was incredibly helpful for me throughout 2 major spine surgeries. First here, we're going to show you the desire to use the feet to squeeze together to engage the glutes. This is a critical component. Again, feet touching, squeezing together, heels squeezing together, glutes engaged, to then rock back into. It's the pretty much most important key component here that one has to make sure happens in order for this posture and position to work well. So again, we lean back with the hips, drop the hips forward, squeeze everything together, activate those glutes, and lean back into a rocking position. If you're new to this position, Go very slowly and ease in. It's very easy for those that have not experienced this to run into problems with straining the spine. You shouldn't feel any of that. You want this to be something that you very slowly and gradually get used to here. The glutes are really what's doing the vast majority of the work with some core exertion. Pull the belly button a bit into the spine. As you do this, keep your ribs down. Try to keep your spine as neutral as you can throughout. For the next movement, we're going to get into a deep squat. So let's start by using the hands for support. So to get up onto your big toes, put the hands on the side and try to use your elbows holding into your knees for support. Notice here, I'm pointing to the big toes, trying to make sure that you really sense that you're connected to each. That's really the first thing that you want to take assessment of. How well can you connect to your big toes from this deep squat position? And then from there, can you rock back into your heels? You'll see that's the first thing I'm really playing with. And what I'm trying to do is sense the difference in the inability from one ankle to the other to get into that position. We then begin to start working through kind of a standing posture in which we drop that heel all the way down as we get to the top portion of this. And eventually, after kind of working through some of the tightness in each ankle, now the hips are down, heels are down rather, weight staying into the heels throughout. And then we're going to start essentially rolling into a standing toe touch here. So we're going to come up at varying points on the toes. We're going to slowly work to reach down and touch the toes. And simultaneously what we're doing here is we're slowly bending the legs back and forth and back and forth. We can put the hands onto the thighs and kind of force them into a little bit of extension. I'll show you this from a couple viewpoints here. But essentially all I'm doing is gently rocking, pulling the upper body towards the feet while trying to get stiffness into the knee joint. Grabbing the heels, again, same kind of thing, trying to work that knee into a little bit more extension throughout. Slowly opening up this whole posterior line. Excellent work. Stretch and mobility.